Primetime local news, serving the Lakeland and Midwest regions.
Good evening and welcome to Primetime Local News. Municipal Affairs Minister Tracy Allard has resigned as the Chief of Staff for the Premier. Thousands of Albertans called for the resignations of several MLAs after they traveled out of the country over the Christmas break. MLAs Jeremy Nixon, Jason Steffen, Tanya Furr, Pat Wren, and Tony Yao have all lost their legislature committee responsibilities. Ganny says by traveling abroad over the holidays, they demonstrated extremely poor judgment. Saskatchewan Premier Scott Moe has also accepted the resignation of MLA for Prince Albert Carleton Joe Hargrave. Hargrave traveled to Palm Springs over the Christmas break. The city is reminding Lloydminster residents how they can dispose of their Christmas trees this year. Eric Bay has more.
Christmas trees are beginning to line city streets as we move out of the holiday season. Trees will be picked up between Monday, January 11th until the 15th as part of the city's curbside collection program.
We're asking residents to place their natural Christmas trees out on the curb on their collection day before 7 a.m. So tinsels and decorations removed.
Residents can also drop their trees off at the Lloydminster landfill from now until January 22nd.
If residents miss their collection, curbside collection for natural Christmas trees, they can take their Christmas trees to the landfill until January 22nd. And very similar thing, Christmas trees and tinsels and decorations removed. They just need to show an ID at the landfill of their Lloydminster address.
Collected Christmas trees will be mulched and reused by the city.
We actually recycle them, so we chip them into clean wood chips, which we use at the landfill for cover, so we can manage windblown litter. And also we also use it for just basically a better driving surface in the springtime.
Both the curbside tree pickup and drop off at the landfill are free. Eric Bay, Primetime Local News.
It is time now for this week's retrospect. Here's Blake Nath.
This week in retrospect. Extra, read all about it. Back in '95, a local cartoonist gets picked up by a big publication.
Local cartoonist Craig George received quite a New Year's Eve present, as January 31st marked the day his comic strip hit the big time. Royal Roots first appeared in the Lloydminster Times and has now replaced the discontinued Calvin and Hobbes in the Edmonton Journal, marking a dream come true.
You have a dream and then you try and you reach for it, and then when you finally get it, it's you have to put up or shut up. So it's kind of stressful, but it's a challenge I'm looking forward to.
The cartoon hits close to home for George, as it's basically a version of his life growing up on a farm.
It was kind of inspired by my childhood, I guess. Not based on so much as just I was a farm kid, but I wasn't really a farm kid, so I always had misadventures and accidents, so I guess you could say. So I was kind of inspired to do the comic strip based on this little guy that had all these misadventures on the farm and all the people around the community and so forth.
And back in 2000, we take a trip to the car wash.
What really does the wash is the soap.
It goes hand in hand, warm weather and dirty vehicles. And this eventually leads to a trip to the car wash. But as the door closes in the bay, we wonder, is it worth it? Dick McKean of Mr. Sparkle Car Wash says it is.
With the value of vehicles nowadays, as high as they are, getting the salt off is of importance. If you don't get it off, you've got stone chips that may start rusting and affect the paint job.
And that is only the part of the vehicle visible to the naked eye. What about underneath?
A lot of the sand and the salt is on the inside of the fenders, and pretty soon you'll find out it's on the outside of the fenders. It'll eat its way through.
This is where the undercarriage spray comes in. Using 1,400 pounds of pressure, jets hose down the sides of the vehicle to get rid of that hidden dirt underneath.
And that's it for this week in retrospect.
Retrospect this week is brought to you by Websport. Worth your while to drive the extra mile. Webb's Ford in Vermilion.
Now our Connor Chan will take a look at your weather forecast.
Thanks a lot, Jasmine. Looking at temperatures right now, gorgeous day for us here in Lloydminster as we see -6 right now with a little bit of wind chill. It feels a little bit more like -12, but we're going to have nice temperatures throughout the rest of the week and lots of clear skies. We could see some flurries heading into tonight in most of the Lakeland area here. As we take a look at some other temperatures right now, -4 we see in Vermilion, St. Paul, and Bonnyville. 0 degrees out in Edmonton and up in Lac La Biche as well. -2 for Wainwright, -5 in Provost as well as in Marwayne and Pierceland. Taking a look at North Battleford, -6 degrees for them, -7 in St. Walburg, and we see -4 also up in Meadow Lake, and then -7 up in Isle of Cross. Now, as we take a look here at the satellite radar map, not a lot of activity as of right now. A lot of that snow could be coming into the later parts of the evening, so we could see that around that 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock range. There is a 30% chance of us getting some flurries, though, but the majority of it we are going to see in North Battleford, where they could have some ice pellets coming down as well as in Cold Lake, where we could see a majority of snow come there as well. So we could just be on the tail end of that storm and that system coming in our way here. But -11 overnight, North Battleford, as I mentioned. Snow on the possibility for tomorrow with up to 4 centimeters expected, going to -4 tomorrow with the daytime high there. Cold Lake -11, as I did mention, the snow could be going up there as well up north. So -3 expected for tomorrow with some of those scattered flurries. And then for us here overnight, -10 overnight, as we could see some of that coming our way here. And then -2 tomorrow for our expected daytime high. Now, as we take a look here at the next 3 days, we are going to have a very warm Wednesday here at +1 with that low there of -10 degrees to start the day off there. And then as we get into Thursday, -1 with some cloud coverage and a low there of -7 to start the day off. That is a look at your weather forecast for now. We'll have more primetime local news coming up after the break.
Over 2020, sports fans were used to downtime across all leagues for multiple months. Now as 2021 starts, so have a number of different sports. One that's wrapping up with the past year is NCAA football. Evan Kenny and Eric Bay have more ahead of the national championship.
Well, as the new year rolled along here, college football playoffs also did, as the semifinals were on New Year's Day. Alabama played Notre Dame in the Rose Bowl, where Alabama won 31-14. Eric, I guess first of all, can you just give us a little breakdown of that game and what you saw there?
Yeah, I think it was really kind of what most experts really thought you would see, in the sense that Alabama has obviously been one of the top 2, I think, teams you can make a case for all year. And they've done what they've done in the past against Notre Dame in these big games, and they really kind of had their way. I think Notre Dame did a good job of keeping it close, but really this offense for Alabama might be one of the best we've seen in the past 10 years from this team. And that's saying something, because they have had some firepower recently, but they're very balanced. Mac Jones is good at quarterback. Devontae Smith might be the Heisman Trophy winner, and Najee Harris might be the best running back in the nation, very athletic, can carry the ball very well, and that's really what Alabama did. They played their game, was able to shut down Notre Dame and Ian Book offensively, but also their offense just continued to roll, and Notre Dame couldn't really do anything to stop them or slow them down.
I mean, Najee Harris is the first name that sticks out in my head, and you did bring him up there. 15 carries, 125 yards for 8.3 average on each carry there. And I mean, that highlight there with him jumping over the guy. How athletic is this guy, and does he not just blow you away each game and each play he does?
I mean, that's really what Alabama does. They might be running back university when you look at it, because they always have these big, huge backs who are very athletic, as you mentioned. That hurdle was insane, and they can carry a load. And especially at the college level, a big back is really all you'll need, because these guys are obviously not going to be the same size as some of these NFL caliber talents, NFL players. So, yeah, if you have that big bruising back, it's definitely a huge advantage to your team. That's really what Alabama has continued to do here this past decade. You know, you look at Derrick Henry, Trent Richardson was a big guy for them too, and that's their motto, that's their mantra, and that's how Alabama plays Alabama football.
And I mean, Alabama, if we want to talk about them dominating, not just on offense, but defense as well. The game was 31-14, but it was 31-7 with just minutes left in that game, as Notre Dame actually scored just with a minute left in that game. I mean, from an all-around aspect, was there anything really that Alabama did wrong?
No, I don't think so. Again, they played Alabama football. They did everything you want to see out of a team in a playoff game. And you mentioned that defense, obviously much maligned earlier in this season when they did have that shootout win over Ole Miss, but they've really clamped it down here the last few weeks. And this is exactly the type of football you want to see your team play as they head into a national championship game.
Now jumping over to the other semifinals, the Sugar Bowl was played between Ohio State and Clemson. Clemson was the favorite not only by us, but by most people out there. And they got blown out of the water 49-28 for Ohio State. And one guy that really stood out to me was Trey Sermon. I mean, we talked about how important the front four, the defensive line for Clemson would be, and they really just let this one go. Hey, Eric?
Yeah, it might be the most shocking result of any college football playoff game we've seen since this motto here and this mantra was used and established. But yeah, you look at this game, Trey Sermon, we mentioned big backs. He's a big back, does what needs to be done. But Justin Fields is really what impressed me. Had a few tougher games earlier on in this season, especially in that Big Ten championship game when Ohio State only put up 60 yards of offense in that first half against Northwestern. But he really put on a clinic and, has some people talking about if he could be potentially the #1 overall pick, and did it while playing hurt. Everybody saw that hit. He took the ribs, and that's what's most impressive to me is the fact that he did do all this while playing hurt and against a Clemson team that, again, is one of the more solid teams in the entire nation.
And he only missed 6 passes all game, throwing for 385 yards, 6 touchdowns, and just 1 interception. So really picking apart that Clemson defense. Eric, do you think there was anything Trevor Lawrence specifically did wrong in this? I mean, everybody's looking at him as that most likely #1 overall pick for the NFL. Do you think he still has that after this game?
Oh, for sure. I mean, everybody wants to build up hype over one game, but Trevor Lawrence has been the best player in college football for 3 seasons now, maybe the best quarterback prospect since a guy like Andrew Luck, if not Peyton Manning, come out of college. So I don't think you look at one game and change everything you've seen the past 3 years. So to me, he's unquestionably the #1 guy, and I think that's the guy everybody in this draft wants, no matter what you have at quarterback, where you're picking. If you have a chance at Trevor Lawrence, you take Trevor Lawrence.
Now, Eric, final question here. Who do you think wins the national championship between Alabama and Ohio State?
I think we're in for a great game. Again, both these offenses are electric. I think the defenses will do a decent job of stopping them, but I still think this is kind of a shootout, and I think Alabama just has a little bit more than Ohio State at this point, but I think it's close, 42-35 for Alabama.
It's tough to bet against the #1 ranked team in the country, but at the same time, Ohio State did just upset Clemson, so anything can happen. Eric, thank you for joining me. Monday, January 11th is when the college football playoffs will wrap up.
All right, thanks a lot, Jasmine. Looking right now, still sitting around that -6 air temperatures right now. We are going to get a little colder tonight with the possibility of some flurries, but that's more so we'll see that in the northern areas like in Cold Lake as well as in North Battleford, which are expecting a couple centimeters overnight and into tomorrow. 0 degrees in Edmonton right now is -3 in Edson, -5 for Rocky Mountain House, and we see -4 out in Red Deer, -1 for Athabasca, and -2 in Whitecourt right now. Take a look in Saskatchewan, a little bit chillier in some areas like Melfort at -9. North Battleford and Saskatoon both sitting at -6 as well, -7 in Prince Albert, and then -5 up there in Meadow Lake. Now as we take a look right now at northern temperatures right now, -11 in the Losh and Buffalo Narrows and Wollaston Lake, -14 for South End and Flin Flon there, -12 in La Ronge with -19 we see there up in Stony Rapids and in Uranium City, -20 in High Level. One of the very rare -20s we've seen today is, of course, we've seen lots of nice weather over the course of the day throughout most of the Alberta and Saskatchewan provinces here. -3 in Slave Lake with -9 up in Peace River, -14 for Fort McMurray, and then -17 in Fort Chipeway, and then -5 in Grand Prairie right now. Taking a look at southern Alberta right now, they're very warm in areas like Lethbridge and Medicine Hat, and the positives at 3 and 4 degrees. 0 degrees for Calgary, -2 in Banff right now with -9 there in Coronation. As we take a look over into southern Saskatchewan, kind of similar results to what we see in some parts of our region here. -3 we see in Swift Current, Moose Jaw, and Estevan, -6 also for Regina and Yorkton, and then we see -9 down in Kindersley. Now Now, as we take a look across the rest of the country, a little bit of cloud coverage starting to form, of course, as we are getting to the evening on some of those time zones in the eastern provinces. -3 in Quebec City, -4 in Quebec City, -3 is there in Winnipeg, 1 degree in Toronto, and -1 we see in St. John's, and then 0 in Halifax. Lots of cloud coverage there. At Calvert, we see -28 there right now, -30 up in Yellowknife right now, with -6, still in Regina with those clear skies, and a little bit of cloud coverage coming in. 7 in Vancouver, -17 in Whitehorse, with that cloud coverage continuing on. Now, as we look ahead into tomorrow, we are going to see a little bit of a warmer day, -2 expected for us here as the daytime high, as well as in Vermilion and Marwayne. -3 up in Bonnyville and Cold Lake and Lac La Biche tomorrow. -2 also in Vegreville, -1 for Edmonton, and -4 we'll see in St. Paul. -4 for North Battleford tomorrow, with some of that snow that will carry over from overnight tonight. -1 we'll see in Provost and Macklin as well, and -5 in Meadow Lake, and -4 we'll see there in Pierceland and Green Lake as well. Now, take a look here at the next 7 days. There's a possibility we could get some snow for tomorrow, about 49% chance of some flurries. 1 degree for tomorrow with some cloud coverage continuing over until Thursday. -1 there for that daytime high. Then we'll have clear skies here for the weekend with some nice temperatures continuing as well. -3 on Friday, -2 on Saturday, -5 there on Sunday, and we could see a 68% chance of some more flurries coming on Monday with that high there of -3. That is a look at your 7-day forecast for now. We'll have more primetime local news coming up after the break.
Welcome back. Now is that time where we will be taking a look at your pet pad pictures. Thank you again to everyone who submitted a picture to our Facebook page, and we will be giving away a pet pad gift card on Friday.
We want to see your pets. Send photos of your pet and their name to our Facebook, Twitter, or Instagram to have them featured on Pet of the Day. Your name will be entered into a weekly draw for a gift certificate from the Pet Pad.
Well, joining us is Jacqueline Weed from Big Brothers Big Sisters here in Lloydminster. Jacqueline, talk about the year of 2020 for your organization. What are some of your goals and expectations kind of heading into 2021?
So 2020 was a year, as everyone has mentioned, like no other that we've seen. We were unable to do most of our fundraising events that we did. We had to get creative that way. Our matches that normally would meet in person and hang out had to start meeting virtually. Then we kind of loosened that up, and then we tightened it back up again. So, we're pretty flexible. We're still operating, still creating matches, still fundraising and supporting those programs. So, and going forward in 2021, we'll just keep doing what we've been doing. As restrictions change or, things open up or tighten up, we'll make the adjustments that we need to so that we can still be providing those supports to those families and children that need us.
Does there always seem to be a higher volume of calls in January for matches, or what's kind of the latest on that front there?
Right. So January is a month when we as a national organization kick off a mentoring recruitment drive. So January is always mentoring month for Big Brothers Big Sisters. So we'll be hopefully creating some new matches. We've had some people in December that are getting ready to be matched this month. So it's an ongoing process, and we've had tremendous support from the community of people wanting to get involved. So good things are happening.
Now, you did mention that January is mentoring month across the country. In your eyes, how important is a month like this for organizations like Big Brothers Big Sisters?
So we have 30 kids on the waiting list for a mentor right now, whether it's in our traditional program or in school mentor program. And, it's really important for those kids and the kids that are matched to have mentors, because it helps with the social isolation. It helps just to have the emotional support, somebody to talk to. And even if you can't get together in person, you can text somebody, you can do a Zoom call with them. You have somebody who you can reach out to and who's there to talk to you.
What's the latest on the fundraising front? I know there's a few things that you have on the go right now. So just talk about some of the fundraising efforts that you guys have going on.
Right. So I mentioned that when we couldn't do any big events, we had to kind of get creative. So right now in our agency, we have a couple different things that people can can do to support our agency. So we have Panago coupons where if you pay $12, you get a pizza coupon for a medium pizza at Panago. We have co-op gift cards, which you can purchase in $25, $50, or $100 increments, from the agency. And then we have ice melt, Bear Tracks ice melt. They can get a 16-kilogram pail for $21. And all of that they can find out information about by giving us a call at the office. In February, we actually will be having National Pizza Day. So we're just kind of working on that. In the past, for National Pizza Day, the restaurants that were on board on that day donated $1 from the sales of their pizzas to Big Brothers Big Sisters. So we're just in the works of getting that up and going. So we'll keep people posted on where they can go to support the agency on National Pizza Day.
And lastly, just to reiterate, how can people get a hold of you guys if they want to volunteer?
Yeah, the easiest way is to give us a call at Big Brothers Big Sisters. We can give you the information. We're doing all of the processing of our volunteers virtually. So we can send them the application. We can do the training and the interviews virtually, all of that. So because of the restrictions that are in place, obviously. But if they give us a call, that's the easiest way to get it started, and we can get all that information out to them. And so our phone number is 306-825-5757.
Well, Jacqueline, I really appreciate your time. Thank you so much for joining us.
All right, I'm joined today with Glenn Dow, and we're here talking about Hospice on the Border Society. Glenn, thanks for taking some time to talk to me today.
You're very welcome.
So first of all, can you just tell me a little bit about Hospice on the Border?
Well, I think most of the people that we will get an opportunity to speak to will recognize the word hospice, and it is a place of comfort near life-ending circumstances and situations where there's terminal illness and other things like that, and there's a short period of time of expectation. And most people have two choices. They have a choice of currently in Lloydminster, a hospital bed that could be assigned, or you may choose to expire at home. We have several people that have gone through both of those experiences, and some people would like a place that was more like a home but had more medical services. At the same time, they're not crazy about a hospital bed. And of course, coming through this COVID challenge, where there were people that were at end-of-life situations with their relatives not being able to visit or their family, and the challenge around maintaining hospital security related to the virus was difficult. So we thought it was a timely project. The project had actually begun probably 2 years ago, looking and thinking that it would be a good thing to have because many people need it. They want their loved ones to be in a nice, calm, home-like environment, but they prefer it wouldn't be the hospital.
So how far along is this project right now, and do you need maybe support from members of the community to help kind of kickstart the campaign?
Well, we will shortly. Right now, what we have done in Saskatchewan is that the Saskatchewan side of the border has two hospices that are underway. One in Saskatoon, I understand, operational, another one in Prince Albert to be built. And so we thought we should inquire initially as to whether Lloydminster would be another appropriate place to be able to put some Saskatchewan government funding in. And the advantage of that is that really you look at the hospice beds that are assigned in Lloydminster, which is usually about 3 at the hospital, but sometimes you have patient counts in end-of-life situations at about 6. And so our goal is to see if we can provide that kind of facility that would cover up to 10 beds for that kind of situation. So just following up on what you were asking about how far along are we? Well, we started 2 years ago, but there wasn't any funding in place for operations. And we can't handle operational funding locally in terms of the cost on an average daily basis. But what we can do, as we've always done in Lloydminster, is we probably can do the bricks and mortar. So we probably could do the capital cost if we could secure government funding. So what we're doing right now is basically we've touched base with Saskatchewan Health Association. And then later in the year, we've touched base with the MLAs just after the election here to see how that would be a possibility. So they are weighing our requests right now for funding for operations. And we are busily working on the rest of the program in terms of the building design, possible locations, the staffing, which would be about 18, the number of beds, which would be about 10, and trying to get everything else in place so that if we did get a yes from the government, that funding would be available, say, in 2022 or something like that. Then we could start working locally to acquire the funding, the assistance, and start the program so that we have a hospice ready to go within probably 2 years of having a funding announcement. That's where we are.
So do you need, if people are interested in supporting you guys or helping you out, is there anything you need right now, or are you guys waiting for that approval from the government of Saskatchewan?
Yeah, we're waiting for that approval. I think the earliest we will hear is probably after their budget. So it'll be late March, early April.
Mm-hmm.
That might give us some, hopefully it's not a maybe or there are other things to do. We'll probably have a few conversations between now and that time. We didn't want to go to the public until we've definitely secured operating funds because there's only so many projects a city like Lloydminster and surrounding area can absorb. And of course, if you get it partly funded and the money is sitting there to operate it, but the money is sitting there for the bricks and mortar, but you don't have the operating funding, then it sits in limbo or gets targeted to another project. So to be very easy on the public and do the right thing, we thought, okay, let's work on the funding side. Let's work on the logistics of how this could be done. And then once we have the funding secured, then we can certainly roll it out to the population and let them know.
And you mentioned it a little bit more earlier on, but can you talk a little bit more about kind of the need that there is here in Lloydminster for a hospice like this?
Well, I think it's been expressed by physicians at times that they wish they had a place. Almost all of us that have reached a certain age have parents that have retired either at home or in the hospital situation. And so around the community, we find, as we do in all communities, that we're looking for better end of life circumstances and situations. And I think it's especially come true with this COVID situation. If you could be a little more flexible with family, that would help out. It also has a cost saving factor in that the hospice beds will be probably the cost of hospice beds that would be paid by the government are about half the cost of the palliative care beds in a hospital. So that would be some saving in terms of that portion. So those are kind of the things that triggered it, a need, a desire that we could save some money and open up some beds in the hospital, that volunteers that like to be able to visit and encourage, there's an opportunity for them. We're looking at a staff of about 18. We're looking for many volunteers, but of course we're still waiting for a yes from our provincial counterparts before we can get underway.
All right, Glenn, thanks for taking some time to talk with me today. And once you guys get some more information and more approval from the government, I'm sure we'll follow up again and find out how things are going with you guys at the Hospice on the Border. Thanks again for talking to me today.
You're very welcome.
All right, taking one last look here at your weather forecast. -2 for tomorrow with chance of some flurries. 1 degree on Wednesday, -1 there on Thursday. Clear skies expected for the weekend here at -3 and -2 there for Saturday. A little bit colder on Sunday at -5. And there's a possibility that we could welcome back some flurries on Monday with a 68% chance there with that daytime high of -3.
Thank you for joining us on Primetime Local News. Have a great night.